It's blue and it's, well, not so new, but in the time I got this, yes, it was new. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew and today we're back continuing our repertoire of SH MonsterArts remastered re-reviews. Today we're taking a look at the SH MonsterArts Godzilla 2021 from Godzilla vs. Kong. If you want to be technical, this is one of three Godzilla 2021s that we technically, so to speak, have. One of two that actually appear in MonsterArts form. The other two being Godzilla Ultima, and I guess the many forms that he presents in the movie, so I guess that would be three more. And, I mean, not counting true form, but that's like a whole other bread and butter. And Godzilla the Ride, since all three of them premiered in the same year and had different designs. So realistically, you can't just say Godzilla 2021, since there's multiple 2021s. So, with that said, so this is obviously the SH MonsterArts GBK Godzilla. I got this guy a few years back, thanks to my dad, who actually got like a discount on him for a very specific reason, one that we'll cover in today's video. But if you're a long-time viewer, you probably already know the answer to that. So, with that said, this is also going to be very similar to that of the MonsterArts 2019, which, yes, there are differences, but most of it is the same. So with that said, is this guy really new? Not really in terms of age and in terms of actual detailed sculpt. Or is this thing just old and I'm struggling to come up with a phrase here. Whatever. Let's take a look at this guy, shall we? So taking a look at the accessories, which yes, this guy does come with an accessory. Actually, I guess technically two of them, but they are, well, they do count, is an extra set of hands. However, mine comes with an extra hand. You might be wondering where the left hand is supposed to be. Well, do you remember when I said that he got a discount on this thing? That being my dad. Well, here's the story. In the store, they were looking for something Godzilla, I guess just for me, and they had come across this Godzilla that was actually open box in the store. Basically, what happened was someone, I don't know why, I probably will never know, was they opened up the box because the tape was already cut open, and they took out that extra hand and ran off with it, leaving this hand and the Godzilla figure like this perfectly intact. Now, I don't know why, again, I don't know what's the scenario. The only thing I could think of is that they desperately needed a new Godzilla hand and they weren't willing to fork out like another $80-90 on this thing. And they were just in a hurry, so they decided to commit an act of theft. Yes, it's a tiny little piece of plastic that's barely the size of a thumbnail, but it's still theft, and you know, you don't want to necessarily do that. So with that said, that is this is what I have now. And it's not like I was really missing out on much anyway, because how MonsterArts did this was really weird. See, the alternate hands are like the relaxed hands that you get with just like him doing this, you know, maybe his arms to his side, whatever. They look pretty nice. The sculpted details are actually really nice. I do like what we have here. And the claw paint as well just looks very thrilling here. You're gonna see a bit of fur and dust, mainly fur, just because like I do live with cats. So that said, sculpted details again look very nice. Got like the individual claws here. Shading looks a little good. I say a little because they are kind of a little underwhelming, but they are there. And of course there's the ball socket joint because that's the right hand. It's missing the left. So that's cool. So what seems to be really odd about this, aside from the fact that I'm missing one? Well, frick, I hate the fur. It's all over the fucking place. Anyway, this is the KOTM hands, the base hands. Yeah, the original KOTM figure didn't come with an extra set of hands, but actually came with like its relaxed hands right out of the box. So the new hands that are actually technically supposed to be the accessories are the ones that are attached right to the figure out of box. What I mean by that is the new hands are a lot more splayed open like that, as opposed to these ones being a lot more relaxed. So let's see how you put this on. So forgive me if I fumble this up, because I do have a history of messing this up. Is you basically want to take the figure hand right here, which make sure it's the corresponding hand, and you want to just gently tug on it. That sounded a bit more rough than it should have been, but effectively you get something like this. Now, do be careful, because this peg right here, it is a Hot Toys style like peg that can like not ratchet, but it is kind of like stiff to the point where it like clicks. But I've had it so these two parts actually like pop off against each other, so there's that. Anyway, so you're going to see the ball peg and you're going to see the ball socket. You kind of already know what to do from there, but you just want to peg it on and boom, you've got a fully functionable wrist joint right here. Just like that. So effectively you still get the same amount of movement as you would. Spoilers for articulation, but you get a rotation here like that, and then you get an up and down, and if you want to get some side to side, you angle the joint and you can get it like this. See what I mean by the peg starting to split? But resetting it back to normal has never been... Oh, there we go. It's getting a bit... Oh boy. I don't know how this is going to fare. Come on. See, like, when it starts splitting, that's kind of like when it starts being a bit of a problem child. So just to illustrate the differences for you, you can see, like, this hand's a lot more splayed out than this one. As you can see. So, yes, there is a difference between the hands. So, I think, personally speaking, the alternate hands, because, like, I think, I could be wrong about this, but for the MonsterArts updated like 2019 onward sculpt, I'm trying to really like show the hand in frame. There you go. I think this was the first time they were actually offering the alternate hands, which like, yay. But there's kind of a bit of a problem here. Again, not really much of a spoiler because it's on full display. But if we're gonna dress, sculpt, and paint here a little earlier than usual, the spines are illuminating, the eyes are glowing, and the mouth is caked in blue. It is caked in blue. But you don't give us a beam effect. Now, I understand this could just be because they've done like so many runs of the 2019 figure, because they did the original release, the event exclusive, and the poster version, and then not counting Burning because that one didn't have the beam. The bootleg version does. It actually has two beams, a NECA V2 style beam and the blue version of the MonsterArts bootleg 2019 beam, because I've seen that thing on AliExpress. I actually do kind of want that, just because like I want a beam effect for my official V3 Godzilla NECA. Anyway, that's a whole different other story. But you don't give us a beam with this one, even though the spines are illuminating blue. Like, you could say that it's charging up, but to that I say his mouth is already blue. The mouth doesn't glow blue until the beam hits the mouth and exits it. I've seen the movie enough times. Is this when he's like rearing up and charging? I don't think so, because he's not entirely blue. That would be more appropriate for the poster version, which actually did come with the beam, and that's not from the right movie. Although it is technically the same design. There were some design changes from King of the Monsters 2 vs. Kong, like some updated texturing, some enhanced detailing, etc., etc. But for the base core model, nothing really changed. That said, I don't understand why MonsterArts would just give this guy a whole blue paint scheme from the spines, eyes, and mouth, but not feature a beam effect. But instead, rehash the original hands we got from the King of the Monsters figure and just add what are supposed to be the new hands onto the, like, the sculpted actual figure. it doesn't really make sense to me. But the alternate hand, I guess, for what I do have, even though I got it incomplete, and again, they're the King of the Monsters hands. They're interchangeable hands, not necessarily the most thrilling thing in the world, so I guess I'd rate it, personally, the accessories, a 6 out of 10. I'm being a bit generous with that, in my opinion, but they're whatever. Which brings us to the actual sculpt and paint of the figure, not just talking about the accessories here. So, for the mouth, which is the first thing we're going to take a look at here, the blue. Now, I like and don't like what's happening here. Let me explain. I love the blue choice. I'm a huge sucker for blue. I love the color blue. I love everything that would be blue, and Godzilla glowing here that is a very metallic, beautiful light blue. Just, it's personal eye candy to me. So to say that I don't like it would be a very huge lie, in my opinion. But just to go over like the actual details here, the tops, the rows of teeth here are going to be painted entirely of that blue, and I'm pretty much going to share an identical sculpt to that of the KOTM figure. The membrane here, which you pull down and then it reveals more of, which thank you MonsterArts for keeping that engineering alive. You get more of that metallic kind of like very much folds in the skin there. Looks very nice. Tongue looks very well detailed, as well as underneath the tongue you kind of see some more of that detail, and the roof of the mouth, although there's an obvious seam where the eye plastic parts would be, the eye decals. Those look great too. The ball peg is still kind of like black, almost gives the illusion of a throat hole, even though that's anything but a throat hole. That's obviously a throat peg. And the back of it obviously shows the black plastic underneath, but for the base like blue paint here, I like the color choice. What I'm not really a fan of is the fact that you only get one shade of blue. And in my personal opinion, they should have done what NECA did with their V2 Godzilla and had a ton of different blues to give off a more illuminating like gradient in there. There was different type of blues that made more sense than just one singular shade of blue. The eyes as well, they're very much beady and very small, so I can't really like complain on those a little too much. Kind of would have liked to see like the eyelids like around it kind of illuminating a little bit more, really like showcasing that this guy is like charging up. Also, I don't know what it is about this like sculpt work, but just something about it just looks so, it makes him look older than he actually is. I know he's like 250 million years old in the MonsterVerse canon, but it's just, he looks so wrinkled and shoveled up. Like, really just showing that. It just looks so crusty. Anyways, moving back to the detail here, we have a lot of the nice detail work at hand here, which looks very nice. We have all the different intricate details here, which look very nice. The segmenting here on the neck. You get the painting here for like the neck itself, which is going to be like on the front of it exclusively, so there's really not going to be a whole lot on the sides of it, and if all any. I mean, you get a little bit of a wash here with the gills. It's very slight, at least from what I'm trying to see. It's a bit darkened there, but again, there's really not a lot of it, because again, I didn't really notice that until very recently. But for the dorsal plates, at least for the top of the neck here, they look great. The back here almost looks like a mohawk, and it looks very blue, very gradacious, and my camera's almost like picking up like a faint reflective glow, which I do like as well. The spines up here look very nice, and I do like what we have here. If I did have like one criticism about the neck proportion, it's just that how small the head is in comparison to the neck. I know the MonsterVerse Godzilla always had a big, thick neck compared to a small head, but I don't know. This just looks off for me. It almost looks like a snapping turtle. Like literally, shift Godzilla's head up. You got yourself a snapping turtle with a major blue obsession with blue Jolly Ranchers. Anyway, let's keep on going here. For the chest here, we get a very nice dry brush of like a salmon, peach kind of color tone here. It looks very nice, very cool. Lots of nice detail work, pretty much most the same as the KOTM figure. The actual like detail work here looks very nice here. And again, we don't get like a whole lot in terms of like the sculpt and painted, paint, because there really isn't any. It's most the sculpt that just does the talking here, but it does some very mighty talking in itself. Forearms look also pretty good, nice and bend. The claws here look very stretchy, and it almost looks like he's like trying to reach for something, which is also nice. The claws here don't really like have a whole lot of definition to them, but they do have a bit of give to them as far as the details concerned, which is very nice. There you go, just more there. Kind of wish there was like some more shading on the claws, but we'll get to that when we talk about the foot claws. Besides the figure, they look pretty nice. Kind of wish there was like a bit of a dry brush with it, but if you want to talk about paint, let's look no further than the dorsal plates here. This is beautiful. Not accurate, but beautiful nonetheless. I'm liking what MonsterArts did here. There's a lot of nice and intricate sculpted work like going up here. The dorsal plates just look so magnificent with the blue seeping in, and again with the damn fuzz, it just looks so good. I'm just kind of gushing all about it. Really making it look like he's illuminating. Just look at that. That's awesome though. Again, it's really like showing like that blue. You also get a bit of like a color transition. Very slight, but you got like a lighter blue and then like a turquoisey blue, and then it kind of like shifts back to the body. So anyways, for the thigh here, big meaty thighs. Again, we got more on like the crotch here with the dry brushing here. Just briefly show that. And of course, all the nice intricate little details. Nice. For the actual like folds in the skin, they look really nice too, making a return. Kneecaps look very nice as well. And for the let's see here. For the detailing here for the bottom thigh, this looks nice, very much so. Here for the foot claws, again, not too much going on here with like the paint here, although you do get a bit of like paint more towards the tips of the claws, because like they do like a shading effect, which is something I wish they did on the hands. But the bottom of the feet looks surprisingly well done here, so as you can see there. And of course, for the tail, they actually painted the entirety of the tail from tip to the base, which is shocking to be honest, because let's be honest, MonsterArts has, Bandai I guess in general has a so-so history with painting their tails correctly. But this is MonsterArts, so at the very least they have had that done pretty well. But again, you get all like the metallic paint just really looking nice. Underneath the tail doesn't really have a whole lot going on to it, but that's a problem. Yeah, for some reason this part of the tail's been popping off a lot more. I didn't even do anything, to be honest. But for one last shot of it, here's this side, the front, this side, the back, below, and from the top. So, in all honesty, the MonsterArts 2021 Godzilla sculpt and paint, it's actually pretty nice. Like, I do dig the detail. It's mainly the paint that I have like a bit of an issue with, because a lot of the body doesn't really have paint, and where there is paint is cool, but where there's not blue, it's very limiting. Effectively, you get paint in the mouth, spines, not really in the eyes because that's a decal, not paint, and some mild dry brushing at the front. That's really it. The claws in here and here, they're cool, they're done decently, but I think I would have liked some more with it. And I really feel like this guy could have had like a dirty wash. Like, why not continue what was done here all the way down here? That would be a very well done figure. So for sculpt and paint, I think I'm gonna personally rate it a 7.5, just because like I think personally the paint is done very well where there's the blue paint. But really, I have nothing else to really comment on that. However, what there is a lot of commenting towards on is going to be the articulation. So for the jaw, we get a ball joint here at the jaw. Well, a very, very extendable ball joint too. You can open up actually pretty damn wide like that. Close up about that far. And you can also kind of like rock her in there. Just like that. The tongue can actually move from side to side. A little bit up, a little bit down, but I would not personally recommend it after the amount of times this thing has popped out on me. Ball joint here at the neck and go up like that. Down, left and right. And can swivel a little bit. It's not like a 360 swivel, because otherwise, surprisingly that was one. Although you might notice that my actual ball peg is starting to crack, so I gotta be watchful on that one. You also will see that this neck piece right here is actually free floating. So if you aim it a little higher up than it should, like this, oh boy, that neck position, I wonder what got Godzilla to do that. You can actually kind of like close up the gap. So you also get 2 extra joints right here, a little bit up, a little bit down, and then this one, which is like just literally back and forth. This is literally all it does. It's at the nape. So all 3 of them, I mean, realistically, it's this one that does all the heavy lifting. Realistically, you can go up, down, side, side, whatever you want. Now, something they fixed on the this figure from the 2019 Godzilla is that the shoulders are a lot more freed up. So you can do 360s with them like this. Go out to the side like that, in. Go like in, like just swivel all about. They look nice, just like that. For the elbows, what can I say? But that hasn't already been said. They can actually bend pretty far out. And then they can bend this far in, and swivel here and swivel there. We have a bit of a ball joint here. Well, ball joint that connects to a swivel hinge. I should probably clarify. Just like I made mention, you can rotate it in a certain direction. For the waist here, we can go down about this far, so we can crunch up about this far, and rotate just a little bit, not a whole lot, like give to it. Really trying to like showcase it here, because it sometimes is a little stiff. But what's important to note is that when you bend it forward, at least, there's going to be these gaps. However, there's actually additional sculpt to like helping bridge it, although the spines do like get in the way of that. So we have ball joints here at the hips, which I think can go, well, this one can go back about this far. Well, technically this way about this far. Oh, wait, oh, we can do a 360. Interesting. All right. So, yeah, I think you can effectively do it on both sides, but I'm not going to risk it. Hinge joint, double hinge actually at the at the feet, so at the knees, and you get a little bit of rotation, a little bit of a pivot, calf joint and a ankle joint right here and here, and a series of ball joints here from the base of the tail, not counting this segment because it is free floating. God damn it! Yeah, all the way. All the way, trying to really like hold it in place here, all the way to the tip of the tail, which it roughly stops right at this place. So let's try and not to pop it off. So we can go pretty much to the right, pretty much to the left, You can kind of hear some creaking. Don't worry, you didn't break it. If you pop it off, that's fine. Unless if it's the ball peg or the ball socket that's damaged, you didn't break anything. You can go up, straight up. That's the sixth time this stupid tail popped off on me. 7 actually. But whatever. You can get a lot of nice movement. You know, I'm done with the tail. Anyway, so for the articulation, lots of expressiveness. I do like this articulation set a lot more than the 2019 Goji, just because like the 2019 Godzilla was a lot more limited than this, and I even had to fix some of my articulation on that Godzilla to help it get a little bit more freed up. But this Godzilla effectively gave that for me. Ironic, because I got this one before I got the 2019. So with that said, I'm going to rate the articulation here at 8.5. Very expressive and very awesome. So for some brief size comparisons, here he is compared to some MonsterArts Toho classic Godzillas with the MonsterArts 2002 from against Mechagodzilla and the 1991 original release King Ghidorah, which I'm still shocked I own this thing, and this will be the last for a MonsterArts re-reviews, fitting because I actually picked my favorite for the last. And here he is compared to the MonsterArts 2019 Godzilla and the Mechagodzilla V2, which I previously mentioned. Effectively, I know it looks like the MonsterArts ones are taller, but if NECA's articulation wasn't as stiff as it already is, even 6 years later, he would actually be about the same height. In fact, at the tallest dorsal plate back here, he is about the same height, so take that for what you will. And also, this is kind of what I meant by like NECA offering more like paint inside of the mouth to give it more like substance instead of it just being one singular shade. Had the MonsterArts done something like that, that would have made a bit more sense. And finally, here he is compared next to the Playmates Godzilla Heat Ray and the Playmates Kong with Battle Axe. And I have to honestly say, they're actually fairly in scale. They're obviously on different like levels of quality here because it's clear which one's made of a more art plastic compared next to the more kitty, soft, hard plastic that's used on like every single damn toy these days. But it's not a bad way to go, to be honest, if you're just looking for a substitute. So with that said, what are my overall thoughts on this thing? I think this figure in a lot of ways definitely feels like a downgrade from the 2019 figure, but a lot of ways also is an upgrade. What do I mean by this? Well, he looks very nice. His sculpt is absolute eye candy, and there's no doubt about that. And couple that with the blue paint, just looks so elegant and just beautiful. And it really shows what MonsterArts can do when they lock in. That said, there's a lot of other drawbacks too. The paint on the body itself just leaves a lot to be desired, even despite its dry brushing, which I would have liked more of, but it's really just limited to here and here. That's it. The claws on the hands, they barely exist. And the claws on the actual bottom feet, I feel like are really what try to pick up the slack so desperately, but do so little in the end. The accessories, in my personal opinion, they really don't make much of a difference, even despite the difference in terms of like splayed hands versus more like scratchy hands. And I wish that this thing came with its own beam effect because, again, the Godzilla vs. Kong movie, Godzilla does a lot of the atomic breath in the film. In fact, you might even call him a spammer for that. That said, there's just a lot of things I like, not necessarily don't like, but the articulation itself is very well done. That said, do I recommend this guy in 2025? I'm gonna actually have to say no. Why? There exists a much more recent version of this thing. One that I'm pretty sure got discontinued, but is a lot more up to date than this one. And you know which one I'm talking about. The Godzilla Kong the New Empire Godzilla. Not talking about Evolved Goji, but the actual like 2024 Godzilla rendition of this thing. Maybe in terms of quality, it ain't necessarily the best, but it's basically this guy and the King of the Monsters figure fused into one. It gives you the blue dorsal plates. It gives you the beam effect that came with the KOTM Godzilla, and gives you the alternate hands of the 2021 Godzilla merged into one. That's effectively the most recent and effectively most bang for your buck Godzilla right now on the market, even if it is like 1 year old. So you should still find that guy for maybe at least a decent price. That said, that's my personal recommendation. If you absolutely want this thing, don't pay any more than $150 in box for this. If you can find it for a deal, get it. If you like what you see, get it. If you don't like what you see, pass, to be honest, because a lot of the GVK stuff from MonsterArts was, I think, very well done, but could have been a bit better. Mainly Kong especially, too. But I don't know Kong, so I can't really form an opinion. That said, that's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned next time, because we're going to take a look at the three-headed Hydra from the future himself. Peace out, everyone.